All right, everybody, all you rock stars, following Move, Think, Smile, and especially everybody inside of our integrative marketing and functional business growth group. It's Adam and Elliot coming at you live today with a really cool episode because on Thursday, and 2 days from now, I'm going to be interviewing one of our clients, Barb Latimer. And if you haven't seen it yet, this is kind of a prequel to what we're going to be talking about on Thursday, but I want to share this with everybody real quick. Let me see if I can get to where I want to be. Let's see. I want to share a specific one. There it is. All right. Got it. This is what we're doing on Thursday. So Barb is a personal trainer who went out and got a bunch of credentials in nutrition and movement and postpartum corrective exercise stuff. And she had a $75 boot camp and she turned it to a hormone program. And in just her first 12 clients, turned a net profit of $37,000. A net profit, which is absolutely amazing. And we have a lot of clients that we work with. And I think what a lot of people look at is like, Barb's got something special. She's got something going on. What is so great about her? And honestly, she's following the exact same process that we're doing with everybody else. But today we want to talk about what we call death by 1,000 cuts. Those are 4 hidden threats killing wellness companies, because Barb was absolutely amazing at identifying these hidden threats, conquering them, and not letting them take her down. And we want to share kind of like a prequel of what she did. And we're going to dive into it more on Thursday. So make sure you go into the group, you click on get notifications so you can watch that interview, or at least get a notification that's going on, and you can come back and watch the replay when it is over. So Elia, let's talk about this. 4 hidden threats killing wellness companies, because, you kind of say a lot of things like, hey, having a business, it's really, a lot of people actually own a job, but they don't own a business.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think that that's a really good distinction, and someplace that, Adam, you and I have been before, in previous companies where it just kind of felt like, yeah, I'm owning a job. I'm the boss and I'm the employee and all of these other things, right? So, what we started thinking about is, the importance of understanding that distinction, but then also understanding that in order to break out of that, you really need a system of thinking. You need systems in your company as well to really make things hum. And so that's kind of what started this conversation, and really looking at what are some of a lot of the mental and habitual blocks that people find themselves in when they're wanting to grow, but it's not happening quite how they'd like.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting because when you say hidden threats, people are like, oh, it's got to be funding, or it's got to be, oh, I haven't worked with enough clients, or I don't have enough testimonials, or my audience isn't built. I mean, they're thinking marketing, right? They're thinking marketing stuff. And this has nothing to do with marketing. I'm going to be straight up with you. These hidden threats have nothing to do with marketing. And it is the difference between owning that job versus owning a health business that literally transforms lives while having a decent profit. And it doesn't matter if those business growth goals that they're motivated, because everybody gets out there, starts a business. A lot of us start health and wellness because we want to have an impact on the planet. We want to make this world a healthier place. Also, we're also motivated by financial freedom, and we're also motivated by time freedom. If we could, is it possible to like make an impact while having a decent income, and also in having enough time to actually enjoy what we're doing and what we're bringing in? And the answer is yes, but only if you identify these 4 hidden threats and overcome them. Because if you don't do this, this is what happens to companies. Companies slowly bleed out. It's kind of like death by 1,000 cuts. They slowly just cut you one at a time. And next thing you know, you're kind of tired, but you still keep going. And pretty soon you're melted on the floor and you're dead. That's how this works. So Elia, I think most people watching this, you can tell me if I'm wrong or right. If they're dead serious, right, about helping their patients, about helping their clients drastically improve their health every step of the way, while saving their own clients thousands of dollars, right? Possibly adding a little bit of doctor money to the bottom line, which is super cool. And, really severely reducing that workload with clients to under 10 hours a week. I would say they need to pay attention to this. Would you say it's right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think these are things that are they kind of easily slip under the radar. We kind of tend to start doing them oftentimes without even realizing that we're doing them. And so they can be a little bit sneaky that way. And so let's just dive right in. I want to start with the first one, which is fantasizing. So, what do I mean by fantasizing? Well, I want to give you guys some really tangible things. And Adam, I know you're going to really relate to this one. So we hear this a lot. It's like you need another certification, right? You need another thing, or you're adding on to your laundry list of credentials. And that can really become a state of fantasizing because we're like, oh, when I have this new skill set, then that's going to be the thing that takes my business to that next level of growth, right? And this is not just for people starting out. This is a lot of times people that, have had businesses for a while and they're looking to increase it. So certification is one place that they go to.
So fantasizing really is about, and this is something that Barb absolutely did not do. So Barb, do an interview with her on Thursday. Come watch that.
Yep.
Barb never fantasized, right? And what happens is you sit around and you fantasize. We have dreams. There's a difference between having a dream versus just fantasizing. It's like, I wish things were better. I wish things were here. So Elliot, what can you really define? Like this is a mindset shift. Like what is it that, how can you identify fantasizing that's not actually a goal that we want to hit? What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think we get lost in a lot of information gathering. We get lost in thinking and not really putting anything into action. So I would say a couple of places where I see people do this is, one, it could be watching too many people's other success stories and comparing yourself to them either positively or negatively, right? Because we start to watch all these, even with a lot of the interviews that we have here, we have some people that are like binging all of the interviews, but, again, there is a lot of fun and fantasizing about that and seeing like who you see yourself as, looking at the different interviews, but actually not taking any action around it because it's a really safe place to be. Another one can be things like, and I know I've been here before, but getting on a zillion people's email lists about business growth. And you end up just kind of lurking on the sidelines, trying to figure out, if it's safe to show your face, if you want to have a conversation with these people. And a lot of that stems from hating to have sales conversations, right? So it's easy to fantasize. It's easy to keep like absorbing all this information that you're getting off of email lists, but actually not engaging with anything. Right. The other thing too, I think is, we can often talk to people about our businesses and where they're headed, and we can spend a lot of time just in that heady space. So we might go to networking events, we might watch all these podcasts. Again, this could probably be included in being on a zillion email lists. But when it really comes to investing in the growth of your business, you just simply can't seem to give yourself reasonable reasons to do it. Right? It just sort of feels like there's always some delay before you can really invest in your business at that level, which is, kind of leads us into the next one. But I think, here you really have to ask yourself, our visualization and seeing where you want to go in your business is important, but a lot of us get stuck in that first step. And a lot of us are afraid to kind of branch past out that. So it's like, I'll just keep fantasizing about the growth of my business and how much free time I want to have and how many people I really like to be impacting.
So fantasize, that's one hidden threat. And if you're fantasizing in the background, it's death by a thousand cuts. It's going to kill the practice, especially when it comes to health and wellness. Now stick with us. We've got 3 more hidden threats we're going to go through, but then we're also going to talk about how to overcome these, what you need to do.
Yeah,
Number 2, Elliot, is procrastination, right? This
absolutely.
is, I mean, we could talk about the law of time expansion. It's kind of like a goldfish in a bowl, right? The goldfish will grow to the size of the tank that you put it in, just like your time will expand to the amount of space that you're given. So if you're given 6 months to do a thing, well, you're probably going to take 6 months to do that thing, and then you probably won't even get it done. So Elliot, talk to us about procrastination, how you're seeing this really affect the wellness industry.
Well, I think one of the first places is again, just kind of like that getting ready to get ready. And of course, that our lives are busier than they ever have been before. It seems like we're saying that every year, and it's like truer and truer every year. And so I think for a lot of people, we're kind of, because we don't want to break in half, and that's a legitimate concern, we want to wait until there's the right time to grow the business, the right time to bring on more help, the right time to maybe spend more money in marketing, the right time to XYZ. But there's always something in their personal life, they got a house remodel job, or after the trip to Europe with the kids, or after the tax return. And, I think falling into the trap of waiting for the right time is a really, it's a really tough place to be. Because again, your reasonable brain is worried about you taking on too much. But as we've seen, there's never going to be a perfect time. There's never going to be a completely open, clear lane in your life. And a business is built by like small, consistent chunks of time taken in action towards growing your business. So that one is definitely a huge one, a huge one.
Excellent. And of course, we'll talk about how to overcome that as well. But procrastination, I can tell you, and what's funny is like people don't realize they're procrastinating. And a lot of time they'll put perfection, right, as
Mhm.
the reason in front of it. And
Yeah.
perfection is the thief of progress. And it actually comes down to some type of doubt or fear that you have of either be getting yourself out there or afraid of actually working with people or what people are going to think of you, or I don't know what it might be. But I can tell you right now, when it comes to health entrepreneurs, this like this perfection component that they need, thinking that they've got to have more credentials, all right, nobody's going to listen to me, or am I going to have the impact? I mean, I get it, you got a heart, you want to have good impact on it, but it ends up coming out like some type of imposter syndrome. That imposter syndrome leads to the fear of like, I got to make sure I get it right. That making sure I get it right is a basically it's a veil of fear that we hide behind that leads to procrastination that kills the business. Death by a
Yeah.
thousand cuts.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the perfectionist piece can also play into something else that I see, which is people nervous about having conversations with, people like us or even other companies that help,
Yeah.
their business growth. They're nervous. And I think what's happening is that they're even not sure what's needed to grow their business. And so they're afraid of being taken advantage of on a sales conversation or, a consult or things like that. And that's something too where I feel like sometimes people are lacking the confidence to really know what their business needs. So they don't know what they should be asking. They don't know what the right, choice is. And I think that too can really lead people to procrastinate because they're afraid of making that wrong choice.
Excellent. Now, the third thing that we're going to dive into is overload. And I don't think a lot of people really talk about this. Now, is that the same as overwhelm?
Not quite the same. So overload is like this time crunch that a lot of people are experiencing. So again, a lot of people they'll get their businesses to a certain level where they are working with clients, they've got cash flow coming in, but now their time is feeling super super crunched. And of course, yes, they would like to have more people and help more people. They would like to continue to build their healthy bottom line in their company, but it's just they don't know how they're going to do it with so little time. And so this kind of comes back to that owning a job where you're so in the depths of your own business working the business versus like being able to be at a higher standing point and overview of your business to kind of see what's really needed, right? And we're afraid to interrupt any current cash flow gains. We're afraid to interrupt that process at all in service of actually gaining more time and more money and more impact, down the road. So I think that that's a really fine line that people are also always struggling to walk.
And I think it's important when we talk about owning a job. So if you look at your basically the way that you approach money, right? If you got a couple of different quadrants here, but let's talk about the first one is you have a job. You work for somebody else. And it doesn't matter if it's for a corporation, which I used to be in, Fortune 50 companies, or if you work at Walmart or McDonald's. You have a job, somebody gives you a paycheck, right? But so many of us we go out, we have these dreams, we like, I want to go do this thing. And it doesn't matter if you want a coffee shop or if you want a bar down by the beach, or if you want a health and wellness practice using functional and integrative, techniques to really help get to the root cause of disease and dysfunction and transform people's lives. But we get to that point and it becomes we own a job. So
Yeah.
why would you own a job when you could have a job and take all the stress away and let somebody else give you the job and you just do your thing and go home? But so many of
Yeah.
us own that job and it becomes crazy. And what we really want to do is get you all to owning a business, owning a system, owning,
Mhm.
and it has to do a couple things. One, obviously, it has to have major impact. It's got to solve a major health or wellness problem. If it doesn't do that, it's going to be really hard to have a high impact business and bring the money that you want coming in order to sustain it. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, money, money. I want to give my stuff away for free because so many people need your help. Well, that's cool. But you know what can't survive without cash? Business. It
Mm.
just can't. We have a capitalist society. And if you don't have something funding the business, either somebody's donating you money or you just have a trust fund that you can just put it out there and you're giving it away, kind of like, Jeff Bezos' wife, which is awesome. By the way, she's donating another 100 million to some really cool cause out there. Or you'd want to be able to own that system, something that works, something that, has the impact that also brings in the cash flow and obviously doesn't break you in half while you're doing it. And I think that leads into our fourth hidden threat, which is really killing wellness companies like it's death by a thousand cuts. And that is protection. Elliot, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so a lot of times, we want to protect our business. I mean, we've put so much time and energy into it. You hear people say things like my business is my baby, and things like that. It's really it's a big thing because you pour your heart and soul into this, and so you do really want to protect it. And so again, sometimes this overprotection can lead to not having those important conversations that you need to have in order to figure out what's the next best leverage point in being able to grow your company, so that again, you are getting more into a system that's really helping you leverage your time. It's actually also really helping you leverage the impact you can have with clients, so that's really a win-win. And then really increasing and helping you increase the bottom line, so that, again, it's important to be able to bring people into your company. It's important to be able to also give other people, work and give them an opportunity to support your vision in impacting and tipping the scales from sickness to wellness. So I think, again, this comes back down to things that I see where people are afraid of being sold to when it comes to getting help with their business, or they're really just they're defensive and not really able to talk about what's really happening behind the scenes in their business. They're worried about the judgments, or that maybe they are actually doing something wrong, or whatever it might be, right?
And this is a great example. So all of you watching this, especially if you're inside our Move Think Smile group, integrated marketing and functional business growth group, which most of you are, this is something we see all the time. And I know this for a fact because in order to get in this group, you've got to go through a series of hoops, right? So we just don't let anybody into the group. We got to verify that you're actually into the health and wellness industry. We have to verify that you're actually into integrative, functional, or holistic, some type of nutrition, medicine, health coaching, functional medical doctor, whatever it might be. Like, you got to be legit. Like, only legit people come to this group. So we have what we call high friction. That means you got to answer the questions. We have people in the background like Chelsea and Kiki who are always like approving people and scoping them out, making sure we only get the right people in here. And so that means people are raising their hand, they're answering questions saying, yes, I want this, or yes, I want this, or yeah, I want this. Yet when they say, hey, reach out to me, and we reach out to them, they go into this defensive mode automatically. And it's really funny. It's like, don't sell me, which is not what we're doing. We're trying to like give you guys special trainings that we have in the group, so you don't have to waste your time sifting through like 50 to 60 hours worth of stuff, because everybody's got a little different need. But it's so funny how that protection mechanism comes up when it's like, hey, you just said that you wanted to grow your business. I've got an idea that you might find powerful. And they're like, don't you do it? Nope, I don't think so. Even though you came into this group in order to grow your business. So it's real funny how that just kind of like automatically pops up. And I understand it.
Yeah,
Right?
I've been there. I have been there.
There's a lot of people out there that are less than amazing, especially when it comes to like trying to get into they think you're a personal ATM, right? They just want to sell you stuff. They don't care what it is. There's a lot of cheap stuff out there. And there's a lot of, less than ethical people out there too. So you have to think about it. And I've even done it myself. Like, I was just telling a story to, our clients that back in 2020, you guys remember that amazing year, right? Everybody loved it. We went lockdown on March. Well, the auto industry went to this big turmoil, and I was looking at a truck that I wanted to buy, and it went on like insane sale in May. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like 40% off. It's brand new. I'm going to get it. So I drove 4 hours to go get it, walked into the dealership knowing darn well I was going to purchase the truck, because I saw it right there, because I had pulled out, and somebody said, hey, can I help you? And I said, no, I'm just looking.
Yep.
And it's so funny how that protection comes in. So identify, and if that protection mechanism is popping up for you, you've got to be able to dissolve that. And if you don't distill it and you don't squash it down, it's going to be death by a thousand cuts, and it kills the wellness practice.
Yeah. And I think, Adam, when I think about this for me, I mean, us, even at the beginning of all of our, business growth, and especially the beginning of Move, Think, Smile, I can really relate to this one, because I also felt nervous about having conversations with other companies that, had ideas about how, they could help us grow.
Yep.
And what I really realized is, again, I think this comes back to a little bit of what I was talking about in the last topic, which was my not really having enough confidence in myself that I would know what we needed. Like I thought I knew what we needed, but I just wasn't really sure. And so I really realized that a lot of that protection was also me just not having the confidence in myself to be able to be like, yes, this sounds good, or no, it doesn't. And I really had to reflect on that and go, and really remind myself, I was like, I do know what's in best interest of my company. I can be open to other ideas. And until I start having conversations about this, I'm not going to be able to verbalize or even start to get ideas. So even if this person or this company is or isn't a fit, like just having a conversation is so powerful. I walked away from every single scenario with just new insights on what was needed and what wasn't needed. So I think
Yeah.
that that's, again, having the conversations, that's important.
So let's do a quick recap here before we go into how to overcome these hidden threats. So the 4 hidden threats that are killing wellness companies, it's like death by a thousand cuts. We've got number 1, fantasize; number 2, procrastination; number 3, overload; and number 4, protection mechanism, right? These defense mechanisms that we don't realize we're doing it sometimes. And it's really important to do that. And the reason we're doing this today, because in 2 days from now, I'm going to be interviewing one of our clients, Barb Latimer. Here's the thing. If you guys are in the group, come over here, make sure you click on the button. For you, it says set up live video, which I'm going to be doing. But for you, it should say, hey, get reminders or going to it. Go ahead, click on that or comment on it or like it. That way you'll get the reminders that it's coming up. So even if you can't make it at 11 a.m. EST, when we go live on Thursday, then you can also get the replay, get reminders for that too. But it's really important that she did not let the fascination, she did not let the procrastination or the overload or the protection mechanism kill her growth. This is the big difference, because we see it like we can take 2 people with the exact same background, right? And Barb did this without advertising. She did it without being a celebrity. She did it without blitzing social media. And she did it with 12 clients, netting 37,000. So make sure you come to that. But this is what's really special about Barb, is that she had this mindset, this do or die mindset. And LA, let's talk about the 4 things real quick that people can do to make sure that their company isn't being slowly killed by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump into this, because I just realized we have about 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes before we're actually jumping on a live with some of our current clients. So we'll dive into these if we need to. We'll definitely continue to flesh this out at a later time. But the first one is really actualizing. So you actualize what it is that you want. And the way that this looks tangibly is, things like you understand that another certification, while it's going to enhance what you have, it doesn't stop you from, potentially increasing your price now or potentially taking on new clients now. Like you understand that you are still able to really make a big impact with what you currently know. And that this new certification is kind of icing on the cake. And so I think that that's really important, because a lot of people will wait before, they make those changes. The other thing is that when they're looking to grow, the actualization piece is, you collect some data, but then you stop, because as we know, the internet is an endless pool of information and data. And people who actualize really understand that you need to put a limit on how much information intake you're going to bring in before you make a decision. Otherwise, you will perpetually stay in fantasizing about your business. And so they know they have to put time constraints on that. And then the other thing too is actualizing means showing up and being seen. It means having those conversations. It means not showing up in, groups, because I can guarantee you a lot of you are in multiple business growth groups. So it really means not being a wallflower in those groups. It means, asking questions, having conversations, that sort of thing. And really being willing to invest in your business and being willing to ask all the questions you need to be able to understand how that investment is going to come back to you, right? So you're in the phase of actualizing. And this is really, really powerful. It's a stage of action.
So if fantasize kills the business, actualize grows the business, is the antidote to fantasize.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about number 2. If procrastination is killing the business, death by 1,000 cuts, the antidote is?
Well, being proactive. right? Being proactive, and this really comes down to your time. So, knowing that a business, like I said, is built in consistent small chunks of time, right? Again, we can fall quickly into this idea that I need a big swath of time. I need to have like the whole afternoon free in order to start this process of how I'm going to grow, what I'm going to bring in, all these kind of things. And that's great if that somehow materializes for you, but for most of you that are, working in your business, you're seeing clients, you're doing these other things, you don't have a lot of those huge swatches of time. So you realize that you can't wait for life to slow down or get less complicated, to make this happen. You also have this actually came from one of our clients that I thought was really great, is like a slap and go mentality, which means you pick up a few things, you watch a few minutes of something, you check in with your business mentors, whatever it is that you do, you get that aha you need to keep, moving forward and hitting the ground running that day or that week. And then you run with it. You don't overanalyze it too much. And you're really, again, in that state of action, and you're really willing to try new things in your business, and you're not kind of like waiting for, like a jackpot scenario, right? It's just like you're going to keep trying new things until you figure out that perfect scenario. So that's a really proactive state versus being stuck in kind of that fearful procrastination state.
And then if overload is killing the business slowly, but death by a thousand cuts, then the antidote to overload is,
Well, actually opening up even more, opening up more of your time. So this can seem, again, a little counterintuitive because you're like, well, I'm overloaded. How can I open up more time? But it's really about having the courage to say no to some of the things that, the more mundane tasks. A lot of business owners don't realize how many mundane tasks that they are doing that they could really literally pass off to other people, right? And ways in which they can open themselves up to get more of that, get more of the conversations that they need to have in order to make that growth happen. And I think, Adam, with this one is, it's a lot about being willing to fail and fail fast. I think we've all heard that. A lot of times it makes people's stomachs cringe a little bit, but
yeah,
again, it's really being open to failing the first couple times,
yeah.
but still being committed to knowing that you're ultimately growing the business, because growth for a business almost never happens in a straight perfect line up. It typically has these dips and then it slowly makes its way up. So we've got to be open to that, to not like hitting it out of the park the first time around.
And that's great prequel into when the business goes up, then has a dip, then a lot of times protection goes into play, right?
Yeah.
Automatic defense mechanisms. And that can kill the business if you're not really careful. And the way to fix that is,
Well, really, it's time to own a system. Own a system of thinking, own a system for being able to grow your company, right? And this is something that is so, so important, because I feel like I've spent so many years being stuck in owning tasks, owning a job, owning all of these things, right? But really, I've come down to really noticing that if the right systems are in place, then I am not a task monkey. The systems are working. And not only that, as we were talking about with Barb, you need to have a system of thinking. So this really makes sure that you're able to monitor progress in your business growth, not just manage chaos, that you're really taking, these small steps every single day to make sure that, again, how are you systemizing things? Not just your tasks, but also your thinking. And are you getting stuck in some of those 4 hidden threats that we talked about earlier, where your system of thinking is all about, it's about a procrastination. It is about, protection. It's, about all these things that really slow you down.
okay, guys. So what we've got, the 4 hidden threats. Remember, this is the prequel to the interview I'm doing with Barb Latimer, who's the personal trainer who literally took a $75 boot camp and turned it to a hormone program that nets $37,000 in profit with her first 12 clients. Be sure to come catch that on Thursday. Look for the post, get the reminders. But what Barb did, that's different than anybody else. She actualized, she was proactive, she was open, she owned her system of thinking. And the other thing that she did is that she literally went to this link right here. She went to movethinksmile.com, apply, and she was open to having a business conversation. And we offer a complimentary consult for integrative marketing, functional business growth over there. If that's something you might be interested in really seeing how you can tip the scales from sickness to wellness while saving your clients thousands of dollars while potentially having a really good profit on the backside, maybe having a little bit of free time yourself and enjoying life and actually liking this business thing we call health and entrepreneurship. We invite you to come over to movethinksmile.com/apply to see if you qualify. You'll go to that link. There'll be a little form right there. You fill it out. And if you qualify, you'll be taken to the calendar. You get on the team, on one of the team's calendars to have that consult. Trust me, it's not high pressure. It's none of that stuff. It's a very legitimate conversation about, okay, how can we make this world a healthier place? And do you have what it takes to make that happen? And if so, the strategy to get there. That's what we do. So come on over to movethinksmile.com/apply and let's talk soon. All right, everybody. I'll see you guys on Thursday when I'm back here with Barb Latimer and we're doing that amazing interview. Take care, everybody.